Today, we are talking about how to reduce hiring costs. It's expensive. Peter, everything's expensive today. So, no surprise that hiring great employees falls into that same bucket. So, where do you want to begin?
The first things that come to mind are obviously things like salary and benefits, which are really important. But there's also things like your hiring software, your internal recruiting team that are the people who are looking for your new hires, anything like reoccurring fees that you might have, like job boards. And then there's also even employee referral bonuses. So there's a lot of costs that can add up just internally whenever you're bringing someone new on.
There's a lot of external costs that you have to consider as well. Advertising for your job. Are you using a third party recruiter? Now, of course, we're biased. We would tell you a lot of times that is the right decision, but you have to consider the expense of doing so. Candidate assessments. Are you paying to go to job fairs? And then background screening and drug tests. Those costs really add up too.
A Harris study had found that 41% of employers basically said that all of their bad hires that lasted less than 6 months fell into costing them at least $25,000, with 25% of them saying they exceeded 50,000. So there's a lot of costs that go into not only just finding somebody, but also if you find the wrong person, what if they back out? What if they affect morale on your team? There's workload that falls to extra people. It's just a whole mess that can befall your team if you're not really paying attention to it and you're just hiring whoever is the first person to come through your door.
So we don't want to do that. We want to do the opposite. We want to scrutinize who we're hiring. And that leads perfectly into the first way to lower your hiring cost is to avoid turnover. And the way you do that is by making sure you're hiring the right employees. 50 to 60% of an employee's salary is what it costs a company when they leave early. And so avoiding bad hires is one of the best, if not the best way to lower your hiring costs.
Sometimes the best person is actually someone who already works at your company. Recruiting from within is a great way to reduce your hiring costs. It's something that you can do that not only will help you save money in the long run, but also boost morale on your team because people see that they can advance, they can move to different departments, that there's great mobility within your company. So that's something that's often overlooked. Look for people who are already doing a similar job or somebody who wants to move into this type of role and develop themselves.
That's a perfect segue into the next topic, which is employee referrals. Leverage your internal network. These are people who you already know, you already trust. What better way, and there probably is none, to hire new employees than to rely on recommendations from your own staff? It is underused and it is a no-brainer way to save on all those external costs.
I'll give you the same pro tip that I give to managers I talk to all the time. Optimize your interview cycle. It's a really little known way that you can take your interview process and your hiring process from good to great. Make sure that you have a really tight interview cycle.
With current technology available, there is no reason to keep a candidate waiting. So reduce that time as much as you can. We're talking days, but often you should be focused on trying to make decisions and give feedback and take that next step within hours. You'll get the best candidates that way. It's something that we believe in very strongly, and we see it over and over and over. The best candidates have multiple offers. They're not going to wait, even if they would prefer to work for your organization. So act quickly whenever you can. We're talking about how things are today, and we, of course, have to acknowledge that technology allows for a whole different way of recruiting than existed 10 years ago, maybe even less. So online job fairs are a great way to recruit candidates without having to go through the expense of in-person job fairs where you have to bring materials, you have to set up your booth or your table with banners. The cost of those things add up quickly, in addition to travel and having to just go through the effort of being on site when you can do the same things from the comfort of your own home or from your office.
The next tip for reducing your hiring costs is one that's probably easier said than done, and that's avoiding a bloated tech stack. There are so many tools out there today. There's technology that automates this and AI that involves that, and all of it promises to make your process easier, but it is very easy to fall down the rabbit hole of having too many tools that cost too many subscription fees, too many implementation fees, and don't really add value to your hiring process. So the best way to avoid that is to make sure that your tools are the best for the task they are trying to accomplish and that they're talking to each other. There are really great AI tools out there nowadays and automation tools that can communicate with each other and that can actually do multiple tasks at once. This is something you're going to want to spend time on because it's going to really benefit you in the long run. So do your research, do your homework, make sure that you are only using tools that are really, really going to benefit your team and are going to benefit your candidates.
There's so many great tools to take advantage of today. That's a different topic we won't cover in this particular video, but ultimately you have to consider the people as well. Your internal resources are not an unlimited thing. You have to use them wisely. As I said earlier, we're biased, of course, but consider leveraging a staffing company to free up your internal resources. One of the reasons to use a third party like Four Corner Resources is all we do is recruit all day, every day. So we don't have to get distracted by things that an internal corporate HR team just has to do as part of their job. So you can focus on what you do best and consider letting a staffing partner focus on what they do best.
It's always great to have access to more recruiters. So reaching out and just seeing what a staffing agency or an external partner can do to help your team is always a great idea. Even if you don't end up using them, at least have that consultation, at least have them take a look and see if they can help you bring value to your team.
That's a great point. You can establish relationships and use them as needed. You don't have to do any one thing all the time. Situations change, needs change, whether it's seasonal or spikes in demand. But if you establish relationships with staffing companies you can trust that have a great reputation, that operate in your space, whether it's geographically or your industry, they'll always be there when you need them. And trust me when I say, when you call, they'll jump. At least the good ones will. So with that said, those are tips that will help you reduce your hiring. Take advantage of them. And if you have any questions, reach out to us anytime. Connect at fourcornerresources.com. We'd love to hear from you.